Smoke and mirrors, unraveling the man who wasn't there. They found a body with no fingerprints, no birth certificate, no proof he ever lived. But here's what really keeps me up at night. Someone spent years making sure this man never existed in the first place. December 1941. A construction crew breaks ground on a new factory outside the city. What they dig up isn't just dirt, it's a corpse. Fresh, maybe 3 days old. The police arrive. They take prints, run every check they know, and that's when things get strange. Because this man, according to every file, every record, every piece of paper in this entire country, he was never born, he never lived, and technically, he can't be dead. This is the story of the man who wasn't there. Detective Vince Mallory stands in the rain, staring down at the hole in the ground. He's been on the force for 16 years, seen things that would turn your stomach. Bodies in alleys, bodies in cars, bodies in places you wouldn't think a body could fit. But this one's different. The corpse lies there, partially covered by a tarp the construction boys threw over it before the police showed up. Male, early 30s, brown hair, average height. Nothing remarkable about him at first glance. No visible wounds, except for a single bullet hole right through the center of his chest. Clean shot, professional. Mallory kneels down. His knees crack. Everything cracks these days. Getting old in this line of work happens faster than you'd think. He pulls back the tarp completely, and that's when he sees the hands. The fingertips are smooth, not burned, not cut. Smooth. Like someone took sandpaper and just wore them down over time until there was nothing left but skin. No ridges, no prints, nothing. "Christ," says Officer Davies, standing behind him. Davies is young, 23, still gets sick at crime scenes. Who does that to themselves? Nobody does that to themselves, Mallory says. He stands up, wipes the rain off his face. Someone did it to him. They bag the body, take it to the morgue, run the usual checks. Dental records come back empty. No match anywhere in the system. They check missing persons. Nothing. They check hospital records, draft registration, employment files, everything. Nothing. 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 It's like this man walked out of thin air, lived for however many years, and then got shot in the chest and buried in a construction site. Except people don't walk out of thin air. Everyone comes from somewhere. Mallory sits at his desk 3 days later, surrounded by empty coffee cups and files that tell him absolutely nothing useful. His partner, Detective Ray Kowalski, leans against the doorframe eating a sandwich. "Maybe he's foreign," Ray says through a mouthful of ham. "Maybe he's a spy or something. War just started, right? Maybe he's German." "Germans have fingerprints, Ray. You know what I mean." "I don't, actually." Ray shrugs, takes another bite, leaves. Mallory stares at the file, at the photographs of the body, at the smooth fingertips, at the face that looks so ordinary it could belong to anyone. And that's the thing, isn't it? It could belong to anyone, which means it belongs to no one. There's a knock on his door. He looks up. There's a woman standing there, late 20s, dark hair pinned back, sharp eyes. She's wearing a coat that's seen better days and carrying a notebook under her arm. "Detective Mallory," she says. "Depends on who's asking." "Veronica Vale. I write for the Tribune." She steps into the office without waiting for an invitation. "I heard you found a ghost." Mallory leans back in his chair. "We found a body, not a ghost. A body with no identity, no records, no past." She sits down across from him, flips open her notebook. "That sounds like a ghost to me." "Miss Vale. Ronnie. Everyone calls me Ronnie." "Miss Vale?" Mallory repeats. Because he doesn't know this woman, and he's not about to act like they're friends. This is an active investigation. I can't discuss it with the press. "I'm not asking you to discuss it. I'm asking you to let me help." Mallory almost laughs. "Help? Lady, I've got the entire department working on this. What exactly do you think you can do that they can't?" Ronnie leans forward. "I can ask questions you're not allowed to ask. I can go places you're not allowed to go. And I can write about things that people are trying very hard to keep quiet." "Nobody's trying to keep anything quiet." "Really?" Then why did 3 different city officials refuse to comment when I asked them about the body? Why did the coroner's office tell me the file was sealed? Why did someone from the mayor's office call my editor and suggest he reassign me to something less controversial? Mallory stares at her. When did all that happen? Yesterday. He looks down at his desk, at the file that tells him nothing, then back at her. What do you know? I know that someone wants this story buried. I know that erasing a person's entire identity takes resources, takes access, takes power. And I know that if we don't figure out who did this and why, whoever's next on their list won't even get a chance to end up in an unmarked grave. They'll just disappear. Mallory rubs his face. He's tired. So tired. But she's right. Everything she just said. She's right. All right, he says. You can help, but you follow my rules. You don't print anything without running it by me first. You don't go off on your own doing something stupid. And if I tell you to back off, you back off. Understood? Ronnie smiles. Understood. She's lying. He knows she's lying. But at this point, he'll take whatever help he can get. They start at the beginning. The construction site. It's still a mess of mud and equipment. The crew's been given the all clear to keep working, but nobody wants to. Word gets around fast in this city. Nobody wants to dig where a ghost was buried. Mallory and Ronnie walk the perimeter. The hole where the body was found has been filled in, but you can still see where it was. The dirt's a different color. Fresher. How long was he down there? Ronnie asks. Coroner says 3 days. Maybe 4. So someone killed him, brought him here, buried him, and then just left. Didn't even bury him deep. Which means either they were in a hurry, or they didn't care if he was found. Ronnie writes something in her notebook. Or they wanted him to be found. Mallory stops walking, looks at her. Why would someone want that? I don't know yet. But nothing about this makes sense if you assume they were trying to hide him. You don't remove someone's fingerprints and erase their records just to bury them in a shallow grave at a construction site. That's sloppy. And whoever did this isn't sloppy. She's right again. Mallory hates that she's right. They talk to the construction foreman. Big guy. Hands like shovels. Says his crew didn't see anything unusual. They just started digging and hit something solid. Thought it was a rock at first. Then they saw the fabric. Then the smell hit them. Did anyone come around here in the days before? Mallory asks. Anyone who didn't belong? The foreman thinks. Scratches his jaw. There was a guy, maybe a week ago. Said he was from the city planning office. Wanted to check the site boundaries or something. I didn't think much of it. What did he look like? I don't know. Average. Brown coat. Hat pulled low. Didn't get a good look at his face. Of course he didn't. They checked with the city planning office. Nobody was sent to that site. No inspections were scheduled. No one matching that description works there. Ronnie and Mallory sit in a diner 2 blocks from the precinct. It's late, past midnight. The place is nearly empty except for a waitress who looks like she'd rather be anywhere else. So we've got nothing, Ronnie says, stirring sugar into her coffee. We've got a dead man with no identity and someone who was scouting the burial site a week before the body showed up. That's not nothing. It's not much. It's what we have. Ronnie takes a sip of coffee, makes a face. This is terrible. It's diner coffee at midnight. What did you expect? She smiles a little, sets the cup down. Okay, so let's think about this differently. Forget the body for a second. Forget the how. Let's talk about the why. Why would someone erase a person's entire identity? Mallory thinks. Witness protection. Hiding from someone. Starting over. Right. But those are all voluntary. The person chooses to disappear. This guy didn't choose. Someone chose for him. So what's the reason? Control. You erase someone's identity. They can't prove who they are. Can't access bank accounts. Can't claim property. Can't do anything. They're completely dependent on whoever's controlling them. Or they're dead. And it doesn't matter. But it does matter, Ronnie insists. Because if you're going to kill someone, you don't need to erase them first. You just kill them and dispose of the body properly. The fact that they went through all this trouble means the erasure was part of the point. Mallory leans back, looks at the ceiling. The fluorescent lights buzz. One of them flickers. So, what are you saying? Someone's running around erasing people? I'm saying, maybe this isn't the first one. That thought sits heavy in the air between them. The next morning, Ronnie shows up at the precinct with a stack of files. She drops them on Mallory's desk with a thud. What's this? He asks. Missing persons. Last 5 years. I went through every report filed in this city and pulled anything that seemed strange. Mallory opens the first file. Sarah Chen, age 29, disappeared in 1938. No trace. Family says she went to work one morning and never came home. No body was ever found. He opens another. Marcus Webb, age 34, disappeared in 1939. Last seen leaving a bar downtown. Never showed up to work the next day. No body. Another. 15 files total. 15 people who vanished without a trace. No bodies. No evidence. No answers. These are just missing persons, Mallory says. People disappear all the time. Look at the details, Ronnie says. She pulls out one of the files. Marcus Webb worked for the Department of Records. Sarah Chen, accountant for the city treasury. David Flores, city clerk. Every single one of these people worked for the city government in some capacity, and every single one of them disappeared, without anyone making a big deal about it. No investigations, no follow-up, just filed away and forgotten. Mallory feels something cold settle in his stomach. You think they were erased too? I think someone's been doing this for years, and I think our body is the first mistake they made. They spend the next week chasing leads, talking to families of the missing, going through employment records, looking for connections. What they find is a pattern, a quiet, methodical pattern. Every person who disappeared worked in a department that handled records, birth certificates, death certificates, property deeds, tax files, the kind of boring government work that nobody pays attention to. The kind of work where you could make things disappear and nobody would notice. And every person who disappeared had access to sensitive information. The kind of information that could be valuable to the right person, or dangerous to the wrong one. Someone's cleaning house, Ronnie says. They're back in the diner. Different night. Same terrible coffee. They're getting rid of people who know too much. People who've seen something they shouldn't have. But why now? Why kill our guy and leave him somewhere he'd be found? Maybe they didn't mean to leave him. Maybe something went wrong. Mallory shakes his head. Or maybe they're sending a message. To who? To whoever else might be thinking about talking. They sit in silence for a moment. The waitress refills their coffee without asking. Walks away without a word. We need to find out who he was, Mallory says finally. Our body. We need to figure out his real identity. Because whoever he was, whatever he knew, that's why he's dead. Ronnie nods. So, how do we identify someone who's been completely erased? We look for the things that can't be erased. They go back to the morgue. The coroner, an older man named Dr. Brennan, isn't happy to see them. I already told you everything I know, he says, not looking up from the body he's currently examining. Different body, different case. We need to see him again, Mallory says. The John Doe from the construction site. He's in cold storage. Then get him out. Dr. Brennan sighs, sets down his tools, walks them to the back where the cold storage units line the wall like metal filing cabinets. He pulls open one of the drawers. The body slides out. It looks worse than before. Grayer, more sunken. Death has a way of making people look less human as time goes on. Mallory and Ronnie stand over the body, looking for something. Anything. Check for scars, Ronnie says. Old injuries. Anything distinctive. Dr. Brennan pulls on gloves, examines the body again. There's an old break in the left arm. Healed badly. Probably didn't get proper medical treatment. And there's scarring on the lower back. Burns, maybe. Old ones. Years old. Anything else? There's a small mark on his shoulder. Could be a tattoo removal. Can't tell what it was. Mallory leans closer. The skin is slightly discolored, raised. Can you figure out what the tattoo was? Not without better equipment. And even then, probably not. They leave the morgue with more questions than answers. Again. But Ronnie has an idea. Tattoo removal in this city, she says, walking fast down the street. Mallory has to work to keep up. There are only a handful of places that do it. And it's expensive. Not many people can afford it. So we check the parlors. They visit 6 tattoo shops over the next 2 days. 5 of them say they don't do removals. The 6th, a place down by the docks that smells like cigarettes and ink, has a different answer. The owner is a woman named Maggie, 50-something, arms covered in faded tattoos. She looks at the photograph Mallory shows her, the close-up of the shoulder mark, and her face goes pale. "Where did you get this?" she asks. "From a dead man. Did you do this removal?" Maggie sets the photo down, lights a cigarette with shaking hands. "Yeah, I did it. About 2 years ago." "Do you remember what the tattoo was?" She takes a long drag, exhales slowly. "Military insignia, Army Rangers. Guy said he wanted it gone, said he was starting over, needed a clean slate." "Do you remember his name?" "No. He paid cash. Didn't give me any information." "What did he look like?" "Like the guy in that photo, I guess. I don't know. I do a lot of work. Hard to remember faces." "Did he say anything else? Anything about where he was going? What he was running from?" Maggie stubs out her cigarette. "He said something weird. Said he needed to disappear before they made him disappear. I thought he was just paranoid. People say crazy things when they're in pain." Mallory and Ronnie exchange a look. "One more question," Mallory says. "Did anyone else ever come asking about him after the removal?" Maggie's face goes even paler. "Yeah. About 6 months ago. 2 men. Government types, suits, and shiny shoes. They had a photo. Asked if I'd seen him. I said no. Figured it was none of my business." "What did they look like?" "Like every other government man I've ever seen. Forgettable." They leave the shop and stand outside in the cold. It's starting to rain again. Always raining in this city. "Army Rangers," Ronnie says. "So our guy was military, and someone from the government was looking for him. Which means, whatever he was running from, it was official." Mallory feels that cold weight in his stomach again, getting heavier. "We need to check military records." "Military records are federal. We don't have access." "Then we find someone who does." They spend the next 3 days making calls, pulling favors, talking to people who know people who know people. And finally, they get a name. Captain James Halloran, Army Personnel Office. He agrees to meet them, but not at his office. He chooses a park bench by the river. Public, open, safe. He's younger than Mallory expected, maybe 40, clean cut, nervous. Keeps looking around like he expects someone to be watching. "You said you had questions about personnel records," Halloran says, not wasting time. "We're trying to identify a body," Mallory explains. "Male, early 30s. Had an Army Rangers tattoo removed. We think he disappeared from the service about 2 years ago." Halloran doesn't say anything for a long moment, just stares at the river. "There was a classified operation," he says finally, voice low. 1,939. Group of Rangers sent overseas for reconnaissance. When they came back, half of them were reassigned. New posts, new units. The other half requested discharges. Most were approved. Most? 3 weren't. 3 men who requested discharge and were denied. They were kept on for debriefing, asked a lot of questions about what they saw, what they heard, who they talked to. "And then what?" Halloran looks at them. "And then they disappeared. Officially, they deserted. Warrants were issued. But between you and me, nobody really looked for them. It was like the Army was happy to let them go." "What were their names?" "I can't tell you that. It's classified." Ronnie leans forward. "Captain, one of those men is dead. His fingerprints were removed. His records were erased. If you don't help us, whoever did this is going to keep doing it." Halloran pulls out a folded piece of paper from his pocket, sets it on the bench between them, doesn't look at it. "I don't know what you're talking about. I never met you. This conversation never happened." He stands up and walks away. Mallory picks up the paper, unfolds it, 3 names are written there in neat handwriting: Daniel Cooper, Thomas Ashford, Michael Reeves. "We've got names," Mallory says. They run the names, or try to, because here's the problem. When they search for Daniel Cooper, they find 50 Daniel Coopers in the city alone. Thomas Ashford, same thing. Michael Reeves, same thing. Common names, too common. And when they try to narrow it down by age and military service, they hit walls. Records are sealed. Files are missing. Every path they try to follow leads to a dead end. "This is on purpose," Ronnie says. "They're in Mallory's office. It's late again. Always late these days. They chose common names, made it impossible to track them. Or they changed their names," Mallory suggests. "Took new identities. And someone found them anyway." They sit in frustrated silence. Outside, the city hums. Cars, voices, life going on while they're stuck chasing ghosts. Then Ronnie sits up straight. "Wait, the burns." "What?" "Dr. Brennan said there were burn scars on the body's lower back. Old burns. What if those aren't from the war? What if they're from before? So burns like that, if they were serious enough, would require medical treatment, hospital records. And hospital records go back further than military records. If we can find a Daniel Cooper, or Thomas Ashford, or Michael Reeves, who was treated for severe burns before they enlisted, we might have our guy. It's a long shot, but it's the only shot they have." They spend 2 days going through hospital records. It's tedious work. Hundreds of files, thousands of names. But finally, they find something. Michael Reeves. Admitted to City General Hospital in 1929, age 16. Severe burns to lower back from a factory accident. Treatment lasted 3 weeks. They pull his file. There's an address listed. Old address. Might not be good anymore, but it's something. The address leads them to a tenement building in the industrial district. Rundown. Paint peeling. Smells like mildew and old garbage. They climb 3 flights of stairs. Knock on the door of apartment 3B. An old woman answers. 70 if she's a day. Suspicious eyes. "We're looking for Michael Reeves," Mallory says, showing his badge. The woman's face hardens. "Michael doesn't live here anymore. Do you know where he is?" "No. And I wouldn't tell you if I did." "Ma'am, this is important. Michael might be in danger." The woman laughs. Bitter sound. "Michael's been in danger since the day he was born. That's what happens when you're poor and desperate, and the government decides you're expendable. Are you his mother?" "I'm his aunt. Raised him after his parents died. He was a good boy, smart, wanted to make something of himself. So he joined the army. Thought it would give him a future. And look what it got him." "What do you mean?" The old woman's eyes water. "He came to see me about 2 years ago. Said he'd gotten mixed up in something bad. Said people were after him. Said he needed to disappear. I told him to go to the police. He laughed. Said the police couldn't help him. Said the people after him were the police." Mallory feels his pulse quicken. "Did he say anything else?" "He said he'd seen something he shouldn't have. Files. Records. Names of people who were supposed to be dead but weren't. People who were supposed to be alive but had been erased. He said there was an office. A department that didn't officially exist. And they were cleaning up loose ends." "Did he tell you where this office was?" "No. He said the less I knew, the safer I'd be." Then he left. That was the last time I saw him. She starts to close the door. "Wait," Ronnie says quickly. "Do you have any photographs of him? Anything recent?" The old woman disappears into the apartment, comes back with a small photo, hands it to Ronnie. It's Michael Reeves, smiling, young, alive. It's also the face of the dead man in the morgue. Climax? Key moment. They have a name. They have a face. They have a motive. Now they need to find the department that doesn't exist. Ronnie uses her connections at the Tribune, starts digging through city budgets, looking for departments with vague names, offices with no listed address, expenditures that don't add up. And she finds something. "Office of Records Management," she says, spreading papers across Mallory's desk. "Budget line item every year. Significant funding, but no address. No employee roster. No description of what they actually do. Could be nothing. Could just be poor record keeping. Could be. Or it could be exactly what we're looking for. Mallory studies the papers. We need to find out where they operate. I already did. She shows him another document. A property deed. A building downtown. 3 stories. Listed as a storage facility for city documents. It's perfect, she says. Right there in plain sight. Nobody pays attention to a document storage building. Who would? So what do? Ronnie looks at him. We go in. That's breaking and entering. That's investigating. That's illegal. So is erasing people's identities and murdering them. Mallory knows she's right. Knows they don't have enough for a warrant. Knows that if they go through official channels, whoever's running this operation will have time to cover their tracks. Knows that the only way to get answers is to go in and get them. Okay, he says. We go tonight. The building is dark when they arrive. Just past midnight, the street is empty. No cars, no witnesses. Mallory picks the lock on the side door. They slip inside. It's quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you aware of your own heartbeat. They move through the first floor. It looks exactly like what it's supposed to be. Rows of filing cabinets. Boxes of documents. Nothing suspicious. The second floor is the same. But the third floor is different. The third floor has a locked door at the end of a hallway. Heavy lock? Official seal? Mallory works on the lock while Ronnie keeps watch. It takes him 5 minutes. Feels like 5 hours. But finally, it clicks open. They step inside. The office is small. Neat. There's a desk. Filing cabinets. A typewriter. Everything you'd expect in a government office. Except for the wall of photographs behind the desk. Dozens of faces. Men. Women. Different ages. Different backgrounds. All of them with a red X marked across their photo. Michael Reeves is there. Sarah Chen. Marcus Webb. David Flores. All of them. The missing people. The erased people. And next to each photograph is a file folder. Ronnie grabs Michael Reeves's file, opens it. Inside is everything. His real identity, his military service, the classified operation he was part of, the debriefing where he saw files he shouldn't have seen, the decision to eliminate him, the process of erasure, the final order for termination. It's all there, documented, clinical, efficient. They're keeping records of the people they erase, Ronnie whispers. Why would they do that? Insurance, a voice says behind them. They spin around. A man stands in the doorway. 50s. Gray hair. Expensive suit. He looks tired. Looks like he hasn't slept in days. You're Detective Mallory, he says. Not a question. And you're Miss Vale from the Tribune. Who are you? Mallory demands, hand moving toward his gun. My name is Walter Hayes. I run this office. He steps inside, closes the door behind him. And you've just made a very serious mistake. You're the one making mistakes, Ronnie says, holding up the file. You're murdering people, erasing them. And we have proof. Hayes looks at the file, looks at the wall of photographs, then back at them. You think this is about murder? You think we're just going around killing people for fun? Then what is it about? Hayes sits down at the desk, suddenly looks even more tired. It's about protection, national security. There are things this country does that can't be public, can't be known. Operations, programs, decisions that would cause panic if people found out about them. And sometimes, the people involved in those operations see things they shouldn't, learn things they shouldn't, become liabilities. So you kill them. We give them a choice first. New identity, new life, witness protection, essentially. Most take it. Some don't. Some try to run. Some try to talk. And those people become problems that need to be solved. Michael Reeves tried to run, Mallory says. Michael Reeves saw classified intelligence during his debriefing. He saw names of foreign operatives we'd turned, names of double agents working for us. If that information got out, people would die. Not just him, not just us. Dozens of people across multiple countries. So yes, we gave him a choice. And when he ran, instead of taking it, we did what we had to do. You murdered him. We protected the country. Ronnie steps forward. And the others? Sarah Chen? Marcus Webb? All these people on the wall? They were all threats to national security? Hayes gestures to the photographs. Every person on that wall had access to information that could damage this country. Some worked in departments where they saw financial irregularities, money being moved to fund operations that don't officially exist. Some saw correspondence between officials and foreign contacts. Some were just in the wrong place at the wrong time and witnessed things they shouldn't have. We offered all of them new identities. Most accepted. The ones who didn't, well, you see the results. This is insane, Mallory says. You can't just erase people. We can. We do. We have been for years, and it works. Do you know how many potential security breaches we've prevented? How many lives we've saved by keeping secrets secret? And who decides what secrets are worth killing for? Ronnie demands. Who gave you that authority? Hayes stands up. The same people who gave you the authority to investigate crimes. The government. The people. This is a democracy, Miss Vale. We do what's necessary to protect it. This isn't protection. This is murder. It's both. Welcome to the real world. Mallory's hand is still on his gun. You're under arrest. Hayes laughs. Actually laughs. On what charge? Everything we do is authorized. Classified, yes, but authorized. You have no jurisdiction here. No authority. And that file you're holding? It's classified. Possessing it is a federal crime. So technically, I should be arresting you. Try it. I don't need to try anything, detective. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave this office. You're going to forget you were ever here. You're going to close the Michael Reeves case as an unsolved murder. And you're going to move on with your life. And if we don't, Hayes looks at them. Really looks at them. And for the first time, Mallory sees something genuine in his eyes. Fear. Then you'll end up on that wall, Hayes says quietly. And I really don't want that. I'm not a monster, detective. I don't enjoy this. But I will do my job, just like you do yours. There's a long silence. Then Ronnie does something unexpected. She takes out her camera, the small one she always carries, and she starts taking photographs. The wall, the files, the desk, everything. What are you doing? Hayes demands, moving toward her. Mallory pulls his gun. Don't. Hayes stops. You can't publish those. It's classified information. Your editor will never run it. Maybe not, Ronnie says, still taking photos. But I'll have the evidence. And if anything happens to us, if we end up on that wall, these photos go public. Every newspaper in the country, every radio station, everyone will know what you're doing here. That's treason. No, that's insurance. She finishes the roll, puts the camera away. You keep your files, we keep ours. Nobody talks, nobody disappears. And we all get to keep living our lives. Hayes stares at her, then at Mallory, then back at the wall of photographs. You're making a mistake, he says. Probably, Mallory agrees. But at least we'll live to regret it. They leave the office, walk down the stairs, out the side door, into the cold night air. Neither of them speaks until they're 3 blocks away. Did we just commit treason? Ronnie asks. I have no idea. Are we going to publish the story? Can you? Ronnie thinks about it. No. Hayes was right. My editor won't touch it. Too classified. Too dangerous. Too likely to get the paper shut down. So what do? We keep the photos. We keep the evidence. And we hope that's enough to keep us safe. They walk in silence for a while. The city is quiet at this hour. Just the occasional car. The distant sound of a siren. Michael Reeves is still dead, Mallory says finally. Yeah, and we can't do anything about it. No, this is what justice looks like. Ronnie doesn't answer right away. When she does, her voice is tired. I don't know. Maybe justice isn't always about punishment. Maybe sometimes it's just about knowing the truth. About making sure it doesn't happen again. About staying alive long enough to keep asking questions. That's not very satisfying. No. But it's better than being on that wall. They reach Ronnie's apartment building. She stops at the door. What are you going to tell your captain? She asks. That the case is unsolved. That we hit too many dead ends. That sometimes people slip through the cracks. And he'll accept that? He won't have a choice. Ronnie nods. Thank you for not getting us killed tonight. Thank you for having a camera. She smiles. Small. Tired. Get some sleep, detective. Tomorrow we start looking for the next ghost. There will be a next one? There's always a next one. She goes inside. The door closes. Mallory stands on the street for a moment, looking up at the building, at the windows with lights on. People living their lives. Safe. Unaware of the machinery working in the dark to keep them that way. He thinks about Michael Reeves, about the choice he was given, about the choice he made, about whether courage and stupidity are really that different. He thinks about the wall of photographs, all those faces, all those people who knew too much, or saw too much, or were just unlucky enough to be in the wrong place. All of them given the same choice. All of them ending up the same way. He thinks about Walter Hayes, the tired man in the expensive suit, doing terrible things for reasons he believes are right, sleeping at night because he's convinced himself it's necessary, maybe even believing it. Mallory turns and walks home. His apartment is dark when he gets there. Empty. Has been empty for 3 years now. Since Margaret left. Since she got tired of being married to a man who saw too much death and brought it home with him every night. He pours himself a drink, sits in his chair by the window, watches the city, and he wonders how many other offices like that exist. How many other Walter Hayes are out there? How many other people have been erased? How many ghosts walk these streets? The whiskey burns going down. He pours another. 3 weeks pass. The Michael Reeves case officially goes cold. Filed away. Forgotten. Just another unsolved murder in a city full of them. Mallory goes back to regular detective work. Bar fights. Robberies. The occasional domestic dispute that turns violent. Normal crimes. Crimes that make sense. Crimes he can solve. But he can't stop thinking about that office. About that wall. Ronnie calls him on a Tuesday morning. We need to meet. They go to the same diner. Same booth. Same terrible coffee. She slides a newspaper across the table. It's not the Tribune. It's a smaller paper. Independent. The kind nobody really reads. There's a story on page 6. Small. Easy to miss. City employee found dead in apparent suicide. The name is Jennifer Brooks, age 31. Worked in the Department of Public Records. Jumped from her apartment building last Thursday night. Look at the date she started working for the city, Ronnie says. Mallory scans the article. March 1939. Same year as the others. Same department type. I checked. She had access to birth and death certificates, property transfers, all the same records. You think it wasn't suicide? I think it's awfully convenient timing. And I think if we went to her apartment, we'd find that her fingerprints were in the process of being removed. Mallory sets down the paper. We can't do anything about it. I know. If we start investigating, Hayes will know. We'll end up on that wall. I know. So why are you showing me this? Ronnie leans back, stares at her coffee. Because I need to know I'm not crazy. Because I need someone else to see what I'm seeing. Because if we don't at least acknowledge that this is happening, then what was the point of any of it? Mallory understands. He feels it too. The weight of knowing something terrible and not being able to do anything about it. The helplessness. The rage. We could go to the FBI, he suggests. Not for the first time. And tell them what? That a classified government office is erasing people who threaten national security? They'll either already know about it, or they'll make us disappear for talking about it. We could go to the press. Bigger press. National papers. With what evidence? Photos of classified files that we obtained illegally? Photos that prove we committed a federal crime? That helps nobody. So we do nothing. We stay alive. We keep watching. And we document everything. Every suspicious death. Every disappearance. Every person who fits the pattern. We build a file. And maybe someday, when things change, when the right people are in power, we can do something with it. That could be years. Probably will be. Mallory drinks his coffee. It really is terrible. This is going to eat at us. Yeah, every case. Every body. We're going to wonder if it's one of theirs. Yeah, we're going to see ghosts everywhere. We already do, Mallory. We already do. She's right. Of course she's right. She's always right. Okay, he says. We document. We watch. We wait. And we stay alive. That too. The weeks turn into months. Winter becomes spring. The war in Europe intensifies. Everyone's talking about whether America will get involved, whether boys will be drafted, whether the world is ending. Mallory keeps working cases, keeps seeing bodies, and sometimes, late at night, he wonders if any of them are ghosts, if any of them had their fingerprints removed, if any of them saw something they shouldn't have. He never checks, doesn't want to know. Ronnie keeps writing. Not about the Office of Records Management, about other things, safe things. Stories that won't get her killed. But she keeps a file at home. Newspaper clippings, notes, photographs locked in a safe place, just in case. They meet for coffee every few weeks, never at the same place twice. Never talking about anything sensitive where they might be overheard. Just two people having coffee. Just two people trying to live normal lives while carrying the weight of impossible knowledge. One night in May, Mallory gets a call at home. Late. Past midnight. He knows before he answers that it's going to be bad news. Nothing good happens after midnight. Mallory, he says into the phone. Detective Mallory, this is Officer Chen from the 4th Precinct. We have a situation. Body found in an alley off 7th Street. Captain says, you need to see this one. Why me? Because the victim has no fingerprints. Mallory feels ice in his veins. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He calls Ronnie on the way. She's there before he is. The alley is cordoned off. Police cars everywhere. Lights flashing. A crowd gathering despite the hour. People always gather for death. The body is male. 40s. Well-dressed. Lying face down in a puddle. Single gunshot to the back of the head. Execution style. Mallory puts on gloves. Checks the hands. The fingertips are smooth. Perfectly smooth. Christ, he mutters. Ronnie stands next to him. Same method. Yeah. Who is he? Was he, you mean? Right now, he's nobody. They search the body. No wallet. No identification. Nothing in the pockets except a handkerchief and a pack of cigarettes. The clothes are expensive. Custom, tailored. This was someone with money. Check dental records, Mallory tells the coroner's assistant. Check everything. But don't be surprised when nothing comes back. He and Ronnie step away from the body. Stand at the edge of the alley. This is different, Ronnie says quietly. How? Michael Reeves was buried at a construction site. Hidden. This one's in the middle of the city, in an alley, where anyone could find him. You think they wanted him found? I think they're sending a message. To who? Ronnie looks at him. To anyone else who's thinking about running. To anyone else who's thinking about talking. This is what happens when you don't take the deal. Mallory feels sick. They're getting bolder, or more desperate. What's the difference? Desperate people make mistakes. They work the scene for hours, take photographs, interview witnesses. Nobody saw anything. Nobody heard anything. The body just appeared sometime after 10 p.m. Like magic. Like a ghost materializing out of thin air. By dawn, they have nothing. No leads, no identity. Just another erased man in a city full of them. Mallory and Ronnie sit on the hood of his car, watching the sun come up. Neither of them has slept. Neither of them will sleep anytime soon. How many do you think there are? Ronnie asks. Total. How many people have they erased? I don't know. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. And we can't stop it. No. And we can't talk about it. No. So what's the point? What's the point of knowing if we can't do anything? Mallory doesn't have an answer for that. Wishes he did. The sun rises higher. The city wakes up. People going to work, living their lives, unaware that somewhere in the shadows, people are being erased, removed, made into ghosts. The point, Mallory says finally, is that someone has to know. Someone has to remember. Because if nobody knows, if nobody remembers, then they really are ghosts. Then they really never existed. And that's worse than death. Ronnie nods slowly. So we remember. We remember. Even if we can't do anything about it. Even then, they sit in silence as the city comes alive around them. Two people carrying the weight of impossible knowledge. Two people who've seen behind the curtain and can't unsee it. Two people trying to honor the dead by refusing to forget them. It's not justice. It's not even close to justice. But it's something. And sometimes, something is all you get. The case goes unsolved, filed away, added to the growing list of mysteries that will never be solved, added to the unofficial list that only Mallory and Ronnie know about. The list of ghosts. Life goes on. Cases pile up. The war intensifies. Pearl Harbor happens. America enters the war. Suddenly, everyone has bigger things to worry about than a few unsolved murders. But Mallory and Ronnie keep watching, keep documenting, keep remembering, because someone has to. In July, Ronnie gets a new assignment. Her editor wants her to cover the war effort. Factories converting to military production. Women entering the workforce. The home front. Safe topics. Patriotic topics. She takes the assignment. Doesn't have much choice. But she keeps her file. Keeps adding to it. Every suspicious death. Every disappearance. Every pattern she notices. In August, Mallory gets promoted. Made detective sergeant. More responsibility. More cases. More bureaucracy. Less time to think about ghosts. But he still thinks about them. Every body. Every case. He still wonders. They still meet for coffee. Less frequently now. Different schedules. Different pressures. But they still meet. Still share information. Still remember. One night in October, Mallory gets another call. Same pattern. Body with no fingerprints. Same execution style. Different location. He doesn't call Ronnie. Works the case alone. Files it away. Adds it to the mental list. 3 weeks later, another one. Then another. The pattern is accelerating. Either they're getting more desperate or they're getting more confident. Either way, people are dying faster. Mallory can't sleep anymore. When he closes his eyes, he sees that wall of photographs. All those faces. All those red X marks. And he wonders how many more faces will be added before it stops. If it stops, in December, 1 year after they found Michael Reeves, Mallory and Ronnie meet at the diner. Anniversary of sorts. Dark anniversary. I've counted 17, Ronnie says. 17 bodies in the past year that fit the pattern. 17 people with no fingerprints, no records, no identity. 18, Mallory corrects. You missed the one from last week. Burned body in a warehouse fire. Couldn't get prints anyway, but the teeth were removed post-mortem. Same goal. No identification. 18. Jesus. Yeah, we have to do something. We can't. We have to. What do you suggest? We already tried. We already confronted Hayes. We already got the evidence. And we're still sitting here doing nothing because there's nothing we can do. The people running this operation have more power than we do. More resources. More authority. We go up against them, we lose. We go public, we disappear. What option does that leave? Ronnie stares at her coffee. I don't know. Neither do I. So we just accept it? Accept that people are being murdered and erased and there's nothing we can do? We document. We remember. We wait for an opportunity. That's all we can do. That's not enough. I know. It's not enough, Mallory. I know. She starts crying. Quiet tears running down her face. She's tough, Ronnie. Tougher than most men Mallory knows. But everyone has a breaking point. Everyone has a moment where the weight becomes too much. Mallory doesn't say anything, just hands her his handkerchief. Waits. After a while, she wipes her eyes. Sorry, don't be. I can't stop seeing their faces. The people we couldn't save. The people we can't save. I know. Do you ever wonder if we made the right choice? That night in the office? Maybe we should have tried to fight. Maybe we should have gone public anyway. Maybe we should have. We'd be dead, Mallory interrupts. That's what would have happened. We'd be dead, and the operation would still be running, and nobody would know about it. At least this way we're alive. At least this way someone knows. Someone who can't do anything. Better than nobody. Ronnie doesn't look convinced, but she nods, drinks her coffee, pulls herself together. Because that's what you do. You pull yourself together and you keep going, because what other choice is there? I'm leaving the Tribune, she says suddenly. Mallory looks up. What? I'm taking a job with a wire service. Going to Washington. War reporting. I leave next month. Ronnie, I can't stay here, Mallory. I can't keep watching people die and writing about factory production. I need to do something. Something that matters. Even if it's covering a different kind of death. Mallory wants to argue. Wants to tell her to stay. Wants to tell her they're a team. But he understands. He feels it too. The need to do something. Anything. The need to feel like you're making a difference somewhere, even if you can't make a difference here. What about the file? He asks. I'm leaving it with you. Everything I've documented. All the evidence. It's yours now. I don't know what to do with it. Neither do I. But keep it safe. Keep adding to it. And maybe someday, someone will know what to do with it. Maybe. Probably not. But maybe. They sit in silence for a long time. The diner empties out around them. The waitress keeps refilling their coffee without asking. The clock on the wall ticks toward midnight. I'm going to miss you, Mallory says finally. I'm going to miss you too. Stay safe out there. War correspondents have a way of ending up in dangerous places. Safer than staying here. That's probably true. Ronnie stands up, puts on her coat. Take care of yourself, detective. And remember, someone has to remember. Someone has to remember, Mallory repeats. She leaves. Mallory watches her go. Watches her walk out into the cold December night. Watches her disappear into the darkness. And he wonders if he'll ever see her again. Ronnie leaves in January. Mallory throws himself into work. More cases. More bodies. More ghosts. The war expands. More men shipped overseas. More women in factories. More rationing. More propaganda. More fear disguised as patriotism. And through it all, the bodies keep appearing. No fingerprints. No identity. No justice. Mallory keeps Ronnie's file in a locked drawer at home. Adds to it when he can. Photographs. Notes. Newspaper clippings. A chronicle of the erased. In March, he gets a letter from Ronnie. She's in London, covering the bombing campaigns. She sounds different in her writing. Harder, like the war has worn away something soft that used to be there. She doesn't mention the file. Doesn't mention the ghosts. Probably can't. Probably assumes the letter will be read by censors. Probably right. But at the end, she writes something that makes Mallory's blood run cold. I met someone here who says they know about the office that doesn't exist. They say it's bigger than we thought. They say it's not just one city. It's everywhere. Every major city. Every government. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's erasing their own ghosts. They say it's the price of security in a dangerous world. They say it's necessary. I don't know if I believe them. But I thought you should know. Mallory reads the letter 3 times, then burns it. Can't risk keeping it. Can't risk anyone finding it. But the information stays with him. Echoes in his head. Everywhere. Every government. Everyone's doing it. If that's true, then there's no point in fighting. If everyone's complicit, if every authority is part of the system, then there's nowhere to turn. No higher power to appeal to. No cavalry coming to save the day. You're on your own. In May, Walter Hayes contacts him. It's not a phone call. Not a letter. It's a meeting. Hayes shows up at Mallory's office at the precinct. Walks right in like he owns the place. Maybe he does. Detective Mallory, Hayes says, closing the door behind him. We need to talk. Mallory's hand moves toward his gun. About what? About Miss Vale. About her current assignment. About the letters she's been sending you. So they've been reading the mail. Of course they have. Those letters are personal, Mallory says. Those letters are a security risk. She's asking questions in London, talking to people she shouldn't be talking to, learning things she shouldn't be learning. So what do you want me to do about it? Hayes sits down. Same tired look. Same expensive suit. I want you to tell her to stop. Send her a letter. Tell her she's in danger. Tell her to focus on her job and nothing else. And if I don't, then she'll end up like Michael Reeves. And so will you. There it is. The threat. Out in the open now. No more pretense of civility. Mallory leans back in his chair. You said before that you didn't want us on that wall. You said you weren't a monster. I'm not. But I have superiors. And my superiors are getting nervous. You and Miss Vale have been poking around for over a year now. You've documented things you shouldn't have documented. You've built a file that shouldn't exist. And now she's in London, asking questions that are making very powerful people very uncomfortable. So kill us. Add us to the wall. Problem solved. Hayes shakes his head. I don't want to. Genuinely. You're good people. Good at your jobs. You care about justice. I respect that. But caring about justice doesn't mean you understand security. Sometimes secrets have to stay secret. Sometimes people have to disappear. It's not personal. It's not evil. It's just necessary. Keep telling yourself that. I do. Every day. Because the alternative is admitting that I've spent 10 years of my life doing something monstrous, and I can't live with that. So I tell myself it's necessary. I tell myself it's for the greater good. I tell myself that the people we erase would have caused more harm than their deaths prevent. And most days, I even believe it. Mallory studies him. The tired eyes, the gray hair, the weight of impossible decisions. You're asking me to save Ronnie's life. I'm asking you to save both your lives. Write her a letter. Tell her to stop. Tell her to focus on the war and forget about the ghosts. Do that, and you both get to live. Keep pushing, and you both end up erased. And the file? The evidence we've collected? Destroy it. All of it. Every photograph. Every note. Every scrap of paper. Burn it. Forget it existed. Move on with your lives. And if we don't? Hayes stands up. Then I can't protect you anymore. And trust me, detective, you want my protection. Because the people above me, they don't have conversations like this. They don't offer deals. They just make problems disappear. He walks to the door, stops, turns back. One more thing, Hayes says. The person Miss Vale talked to in London? The one who told her about other cities? Other governments? That person doesn't exist anymore. Officially, they never existed. That's how serious this is. That's how far the reach extends. So please, for your own sake, stop digging. He leaves. Mallory sits alone in his office for a long time, thinking, weighing options, trying to find a path that doesn't end with him and Ronnie on that wall. He can't find one. That night, he writes Ronnie a letter, carefully worded, vague enough to pass censors, but clear enough that she'll understand. Dear Ronnie, I hope London is treating you well. Things here are quiet. Same old cases. Same old work. Nothing interesting happening. I've been thinking about our conversations last year. About the stories we discussed. About the research we were doing. I've decided to abandon that project. It wasn't going anywhere. No point in pursuing dead ends. I think you should do the same. Focus on your current work. On the stories in front of you. On staying safe and doing good journalism. The past is the past. Let it stay there. Take care of yourself. Stay alive. That's the most important thing. Write when you can. Yours, Mallory. He reads it 3 times. Make sure there's nothing incriminating. Nothing that would get them killed. Then, he mails it. And then, he goes home and stares at the locked drawer where he keeps the file. All the evidence. All the documentation. Everything he and Ronnie spent a year collecting. He should destroy it. Should burn it like Hayes ordered. Should erase the evidence just like they erase people. But he can't. Because if he destroys it, then it's like it never happened. Then Michael Reeves and all the others really are ghosts. Really never existed. Really died for nothing. Someone has to remember. So he keeps the file. Hides it better. Buries it deeper. But keeps it. It's a death sentence. He knows that. Keeping the file means he'll never be safe. Means they'll always be watching. Means one day, probably sooner than later, he'll end up on that wall too. But at least someone will remember. At least the evidence will exist. At least the truth will survive, even if he doesn't. It's not justice. It's not even close. But it's something. And sometimes, something is all you get. Weeks pass. Mallory receives a letter back from Ronnie. Short. To the point. Dear Mallory, I understand. I'm focusing on my work now. You're right. The past is the past. But I won't forget. I can't forget. Some things stay with you forever. Stay safe. R. She understands. She's backing off. But she won't forget. Neither will he. They've lost the fight. But they haven't lost the memory. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that has to be enough. In August, Mallory gets another body. Same pattern. No fingerprints. No identity. He doesn't investigate. Just files it away. Adds a note to the hidden file at home. Moves on. What else can he do? In September, he gets promoted again. Detective lieutenant. More responsibility. More bureaucracy. More distance from actual detective work. Maybe that's intentional. Maybe they're moving him up and away from cases where he might find more ghosts. He doesn't fight it. Takes the promotion. Does the job. Keeps his head down. Survival. That's the game now. Not justice. Not truth. Just survival. Ronnie's letters become less frequent. She's deep in the war now. Following troops. Covering battles. Risking her life in ways that make their previous investigation seem safe by comparison. Maybe that's better. Maybe dying in combat is better than being erased. At least in combat, you get remembered. You get a grave. You get a name on a memorial. The ghosts don't even get that. December 1943. 2 years since they found Michael Reeves. 2 years of bodies. 2 years of ghosts. 2 years of looking over their shoulders. Mallory sits in his office, now bigger and nicer than before, and thinks about what they learned, about what they lost, about what it cost them. They learned that some secrets are protected by people with unlimited resources and no oversight. They learned that national security is a blanket that can cover any crime. They learned that justice is an illusion when you're up against power that answers to no one. They learned that sometimes you can know the truth and still be powerless to do anything about it. They learned that being brave doesn't mean you win. Sometimes it just means you lose slower. They lost their innocence, lost their faith in the system, lost their belief that good always triumphs over evil. Because it doesn't. Sometimes evil wins. Sometimes evil has been winning for years and nobody even noticed. They lost Michael Reeves and 17 others. 18, however many it is now. Lost them to a system that decided they were acceptable casualties. Lost them to secrets that someone decided were more important than human lives. It cost them their peace, cost them their sleep, cost them the ability to look at the world and see anything other than ghosts. But they survived. That's something. They survived when they probably shouldn't have. They kept the evidence when they were told to destroy it. They remembered when it would have been easier to forget. And maybe that matters. Maybe that's enough. Maybe just surviving and remembering is its own form of resistance. Mallory takes out the file. Looks through it. All the names. All the faces. All the people who officially never existed. Sarah Chen. Marcus Webb. David Flores. Michael Reeves. Jennifer Brooks. All the others. He reads each name. Studies each face. Commits them to memory one more time, because someone has to remember. And if not him, then who? There's a knock on his door. He quickly puts the file away. Locks the drawer. Come in. It's Officer Davies. Older now. Not the kid who got sick at crime scenes anymore. The war has aged everyone. Lieutenant, we've got a body. Construction site on the east side. Crew says it looks like it's been there a while. Mallory feels his stomach drop. Any identification? Not yet. But there's something weird about it. Thought you'd want to see. Of course there's something weird about it. Mallory stands up. Puts on his coat. Follows Davies out to the car. The construction site is different from the one where they found Michael Reeves. But it feels the same. Same mud, same machinery, same crowd of workers standing around looking uncomfortable. The body is in worse shape this time. Been dead longer. Decomposition is advanced. But Mallory can still see what made Davies call him. The hands are barely intact, but what's left of the fingertips are smooth. Another ghost. He examines the scene, takes notes, does the job. But inside, he feels nothing. No shock, no horror. Just tired resignation. Just the knowledge that this is how things are and how they'll always be. They bag the body, send it to the morgue, run the checks that will come back empty, file the case that will never be solved. Business as usual. That night, Mallory adds another entry to the file. Another name that isn't a name. Another face that belongs to no one. Another ghost for the collection. 19 now that he knows about. How many more are there that he doesn't know about? How many bodies that were disposed of properly? How many people who simply vanished without a trace? Hundreds? Thousands? He'll never know. Nobody will ever know. That's the point. He locks the file away, pours himself a drink, stands by the window watching the city, watching people live their lives, watching the world turn as if none of this matters. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, a few erased people don't matter. Maybe national security really is more important than individual lives. Maybe the people making these decisions really do know better. Or maybe that's what they want you to think. Maybe that's how they justify it. Maybe that's how they sleep at night. Mallory doesn't know anymore. He's too tired to know, too worn down by 2 years of carrying impossible knowledge and being unable to do anything about it. He drinks his whiskey, watches the city, thinks about Ronnie in London, thinks about Michael Reeves in an unmarked grave, thinks about Walter Hayes in his office with his wall of photographs, thinks about all the people who exist in the cracks between what's official and what's real. And he makes himself a promise, the only promise he can keep. He'll remember. He'll keep the file. He'll document every ghost he finds. And someday, somehow, maybe the truth will matter. Maybe someone will care. Maybe justice will catch up to the people who think they're above it. Probably not. But maybe. And maybe is enough to keep going. Maybe is enough to stay alive one more day. Maybe is enough to not give up completely. He finishes his drink, goes to bed, doesn't sleep. Tomorrow there will be more cases, more bodies, maybe more ghosts. And he'll work them all, document them all, remember them all. Because that's what you do. You keep going. You keep fighting. Even when you know you've already lost. Even when you know it doesn't matter. Even when you know nobody's coming to save you. You keep going because what else is there? The man who wasn't there is still dead. The people who killed him are still free. The office that doesn't exist still operates. The ghosts still multiply. And Detective Vincent Mallory still has a job to do. So he does it. Day after day, body after body, ghost after ghost. He does it because someone has to. Because someone has to remember. Even if remembering changes nothing. Even if remembering costs everything. Even if remembering is all that's left. Someone has to remember. And that someone is him. The file grows thicker. The list grows longer. The ghosts multiply. But he remembers. He always remembers. That's not justice. That's not even revenge. That's just memory. Just bearing witness. Just refusing to let the erased stay erased. It's not much, but it's what he has. It's all he has. So he holds on to it, protects it, nurtures it, because someday, maybe, it might matter. Probably not, but maybe, and maybe is enough. Click the next video to see what happens when another ghost appears.